Welcome to Business Talk Sister Talk. I'm Bekkah.
And I'm Ruthie. And today we are going to be interviewing Bekkah and her husband Joel about their journey of how to pay off student debt, which fits into our series on paying off student loans. So, thank you so much for being here with us today, Joel.
Mostly Joel. I'm here all the time.
True.
Good to be here.
Good, I'm glad. So what is it that you guys did?
We paid off $120,000 in student debt.
Dun, dun, dun. In how long?
Well, the first couple years, we paid off $20,000. And then we started getting really serious about it. And we decided to set a goal. You should tell them about that.
Yeah, so our goal was basically to pay off the remainder of our student loans in about a 14th month period of time.
20 months.
Oh, I'm sorry, 20-month period of time.
You would have given me a heart attack. It was 14. It was 20.
So you paid off $100,000 in 20 months. Just did a little quick tallying in my head. Awesome. Wow. Okay. So how did you do that? Or first, why did you do that?
Why we did it was because we had made a commitment to one another that we weren't going to have kids until we paid off our student loans. And then when we started looking at our trajectory of when that was going to be, I was like, I am getting old. And I don't know if I'm going to have all the energy to have children by the time we pay off our student loans. So we should probably get busy on doing this. So that was the decision we made. And we actually started reading that Dave Ramsey book.
Total Money Makeover?
Yeah. It was a good one. And we decided, okay, because in the book he was like, you should set a goal for 20 to 24 months. And I was like, do you think we can do it in 20 months? We should do it. And then we calculated it out and we were like, that's more money than we make in a month, every month, to pay towards student debt. We were like, I don't think we can do that, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you do that?
Okay. So we have a whole list. The first one was really hard for me. We needed to get out of, I need this just in case.
Yeah, so that was a really difficult one to get through. So a lot of what we had to do was basically decide on, okay, we really only need this amount of money. And for us, it was around $1,000. And for Bekkah, that was really hard because it was really hard for her because she wanted the security of having more money in the bank account. And so in order to really pay down your student loans quickly, you need to be willing to take that sacrifice and pay it down as quickly as possible.
I was literally like, okay, but I did the calculations and this is how much we need to keep. And he's like, I did the calculations too and you're wrong. I'm like, dang it.
But Joel's a lot more tactful than that. He probably mapped it out and showed you.
Yeah, no, he's very gracious and also a spoon to the heart. Oh my word. Painful.
Plus, what I found through all this is she had secret stashes of money in other bank accounts. She's just like, oh yeah, I've got this bank account too. There's $800 in this one. I've got a PayPal account with $1,200 in it and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, see, we're totally fine for, this month until
okay, but for the record, it wasn't the first time he knew about these bank accounts.
Surprise.
I do not recommend doing that to your spouse. Just yeah,
keeping secret bank accounts.
Yeah, he knew about them. He had access to them. Yeah. He just never looked at them.
I think too, one thing that you had said to me was that I do the same thing, and not so much anymore now that I've started my aggressive loan payoff, but you've had I'll put $20 in a bag, and then if I find that bag later down the road, I'm like, oh wow, $20. good job thinking ahead. I saved that for myself. And then, so it's funny hearing you be like, oh, I found $20 in this bag I had, and I'm putting it towards my student loans. Or like, I cleaned out the change container in my room or my car, and I put it towards my student loans.
It was literally like I had to strangle something inside me every time.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard work. Yeah, okay. The next thing was we utilized coupons. And I seriously like mean this wholeheartedly. I tried the crazy coupon lady thing, and we'll talk about that sometime, but like this was utilizing the newspaper ads and knowing, okay, what is on sale? What are we going to make for the week? And we meal planned every week. And I never used to do this until I met Joel's mom, and then Joel was like, you need to stop buying copious amounts of food we don't need. Which I am way less stressed after I do that, because then it's on the menu board and I know exactly what we're having for the entire week, and we're not wasting food or spending excess money on it. So every week I sit down and I put together the meal plan of what we're having. And then from there, I know what to get exactly at the grocery store. And also, productivity tip, if you organize your list of groceries by produce, dairy, frozen, and dry goods, it seriously will save you so much time at the grocery store looking back through your list.
That blows my mind. Becca can literally tell you what aisle something is in Walmart, and I'll call her and be like, where is this? And she just knows, because I will wander around Walmart for hours. And I do Walmart pickup now. I don't even go into the store very much anymore, but I just think that is insane that you can do that. So good work. Productivity hack.
It is, no, seriously, it's such a time saver to do that. I still go into the grocery store because I love shopping. And it's one of my only experiences to do that when you're on a budget. Okay, so another thing we did was that also we love food. So just keep this in mind, that mentally for me, deciding that we can't have lots of food is like a crazy thing. But what I started doing is every time I would think about, ooh, I really want to go to this restaurant, I would go and look at their menu and see it online or whatever, and then Google the names of the dishes and figure out how to make them myself. And then I was getting exactly what I wanted, which I also love cooking, so it wasn't really that big of a deal for me. If you don't like cooking, you're going to struggle. You're going to really struggle. I also learned that if you're a picky eater, you're also going to struggle. Because poverty is not a friend of a picky eater. And I say that because I have worked with a lot of kids, and that is truth. So be okay with eating things that are different. Not necessarily nasty, but try to be healthy in the food that you eat, because it's going to make you feel better. You're going to have a lot more energy, and then you're going to pay off your student debt faster. I'm serious. Completely serious. Okay, so cookbook I really like is Good But Cheap. You should totally check it out. I believe the government manufactured copious amounts of them. You can probably check it out at your local library, or you could probably go to your local food shelf and ask them for a copy. It's that available. Anyways, so the next thing that I would recommend doing is identify what makes you overwhelmed. What is that claustrophobic feeling that kicks in? And you should talk about that. Like, have an accountability partner. Joel is my accountability partner, clearly. But within that, knowing what is going to make you feel overwhelmed, you need to talk about why. Because a lot of the spending decisions that you make, or choosing to save money, is all wrapped up in psychology. Why you do what you do, and where are the moments that you feel like you're trapped. Because a lot of times when you're on a budget, when you think, oh, but I can't spend money on this, can be stressful. So it's good to know ways to be creative with your budget in the areas that you can spend if you save in other places. But you have to have a budget from the beginning.
So what things made you feel claustrophobic, Joel? And then we'll go to Becca next.
Yeah, so I think that was the biggest aspect of getting over the hump of being able to pay off our student loans, is the mindset of, okay, we're committing to this and we're doing this, but also knowing that, there are creative ways that you can use and utilize to at least feel like you're not being constrained to the budget that you have set out, and that you can't spend money on anything, because that's really not the case. What I think the biggest things for me especially were that I started looking at what it looks like to continue to replace things in our house or fix up the cars and do all that myself instead of having to hire someone to do that. So when you have work that needs to be done on your car, that's sort of something that you have to save aside as an emergency fund. But you can also utilize that money for being able to fix it yourself. And in that, you save quite a bit of money doing that. So I think one of the ways that I felt like I was not as much in a box was the ability to be able to do things myself, and within that, be able to spend money on tools to do those different things. Because we knew that, we were saving, every time I did a project, we'd maybe save like $500 on fixing the car ourselves, and with maybe $100 of that 500 of whatever tools I needed to do that activity, that I could go out and purchase those tools. And that was kind of a fun opportunity for me to just be able to just purchase things.
He loves his tools, okay?
Because it's like, you don't have to feel like you're in a box. You really don't. And so I think what I would encourage you to do is to go through all of those things that are causing you to have apprehensions about paying off student loans and really focusing on that, and write them down. Write every single one of them down and start to talk to it with your accountability partner or with your spouse, and start to become creative with, okay, how can I make way for these things? Because that's a big part of it. There's really a lot of ways that you can be creative in being able to allow yourself to do those things, even within paying off your student loans.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, I'm just going to say Joel's way better at that than I am in terms of listening and finding creative ways. But the communication is important, because Joel would be like, okay, what are you overwhelmed about? And I'd be like, well, I'm so upset because of blah, 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 blah. And then I would just like make up something that I seriously was upset about something. But then he would be like, okay, so how can we help you feel like you can accomplish whatever it is? And then we would have to strategize a solution. So it would like push me from like pity party to actually like creative solution mode. And then we would come up with something, and it would be, oh, okay, I can do this differently here. And I mean, that happens so many times. And here, seriously, we still do this even though we've paid off our student loans, is that Joel will do, I am totally somebody that's like, we could just hire somebody to do this. Like, I do not want to do this myself. We should just take the car in. And Joel's like, no, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to research it and find out how, and then I'm going to fix it. And then so he does. And I'm like, wow, yeah, you're right. We just saved like $2,000. Thanks for doing that. And then when I'm like, can I buy this shirt at the store? And he's like, yeah, you can. Do you know why? Because I saved you $2,000. So like, he's a very gracious man because he like makes room for my budget. But within that, you have to do that for yourself, especially if you're by yourself. Think about, okay, I'm gonna do this here. Like, I'm gonna make the choice to cook my own dinner, because it's going to give me room in my budget to do this thing, go to a movie with my friend or whatever. But you have to give yourself those, you have to sweat a little to have room in your budget to do those fun things, because otherwise you're not going to have any fun, and then you're going to be upset.
Yeah. And I think we were talking about this earlier. One thing that I really admired about you guys is that it's never, whenever there's like something that comes up, I rarely hear you guys or heard you guys say the words like, we can't afford that. We just can't do that. Like, it was, oh, that's not in the budget right now. we could put that in the budget and we can plan for that. But you were just very strategic about the things that you prioritized and the things that you really set money aside to do. Like looking from the outside looking in, it wasn't like, oh, they're just like never doing anything. They're eating like rice and beans constantly. Like you guys ate well because you prioritized that. That was something that was important to you, and you just were very strategic and intelligent about how you went about just planning for those things and actually giving yourself the ability to still do things that you loved, but just planning for it and implementing that in your budget to prepare for it.
Yeah, and when we talk about really liking food, I mean, okay, we love food. It's
Bekkah just made a Facebook group chat or group page. What am I trying to say? Facebook group, thank you very much, about like being foodies and stuff like that, and there's different things on there that she's been posting. So
yeah, because I love food.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, if I believe wholeheartedly in the ads, because we could eat steak, like nice steak, once in a while, but the way we did it is we waited for the ad, because sometimes it's $5.95 a pound. That's like $2 more than hamburger sometimes. Especially with this meat thing. I don't know, with meat crisis, everyone knows how to make hamburgers, so then suddenly like that's really expensive, but all the other cuts are really cheap, right? So knowing how to cook things is important, but utilizing the library for cookbooks, oh my goodness, that was like my best friend, because I never had to buy cookbooks. And it was easier for me than looking everything up online and risking spilling something on my computer. So anyways, this is obviously, we're talking a lot about these simple things, and I think a lot of people are probably like, well, get to the meat. Like, what did you actually do to pay off your student loans? But it's actually all of the small choices. Every small choice. And that's not to be overwhelming, but it's a psychological shift that you have to make about what you're doing. And we're talking about this so much on the psychology aspect, because that is literally the number one reason why people cannot stay in a budget and pay off debt.
Because they can't give themselves permission to just say no.
Yeah. So the last thing we wanted to cover before we're going to move into our gawk, but don't worry, we have a couple more episodes on this, at least one more, so stick around, because there's a lot of stuff that we learned in a 20-month period, people. Okay, so have a goal. Make sure you have a timeline goal that you're sticking to, even if it's astronomically like there's no way. You guys, we did this, and I was like, there's no way we're going to do this, but you know what? We are going to trust the Lord to do it with us. And I'm going to tell you, somehow in the last month, we were able to pay off like $19,000. I have no idea how we did that, but it all came together, and it was like, whoa, we did it in the timeline that we thought we were going to, which I seriously, to this day, I don't know how we did that. Anyways, so take every opportunity to make money. We did stuff that was ridiculous. We went out and we shoveled off Joel's grandpa's roof, and he paid us to do it. Like, whatever. I remember I literally sealed somebody's driveway with a tar coat once.
And sold like everything in their house. Like just
we went through our stuff, and we were like, okay, this whole mentality of I need this just in case totally applies to me in like some hoarding things. So I learned how to sell things on the internet and on Facebook Marketplace, whatever, like lots of different things. I would not recommend garage sales. They are way not profitable.
And a lot of work.
Oh my God. Yeah, do not do that. The return on investment, you could work at Hardee's for the weekend and make more money than at a garage sale. Okay, we're gonna get into our gawk portion. And today Ruthie's gonna tell us a story, because she was telling me a little bit about it beforehand, and I have not heard this one yet, so it's gonna be new for everybody.
So the sister that's between Rebecca and I is Rachel, and she,
also known as Raffle the Waffle.
Or just Roff. We call it Roff, like Raphael, or like, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Anyway, so we call her Roff. And she is an animal person. I am holistically not an animal person. I can tolerate them. They're fine. They're not my favorite thing. Anyway, I feel like I should expand more on that. I appreciate a good animal, but from a distance.
She does. She's like, wow, look at that. Stay over there.
Yeah. So but Rachel had trained this outside cat that we had that whenever she would go out into the garage to like give it its food or whatever, she would pat her back and then bend over and it would jump onto her back. And I was not privy to this knowledge. And then we were about to leave to go somewhere. And I was in the garage and my mom would ask me to help her back up because there's a bunch of stuff on the side. So I was backing up and I was like motioning with my hands, like, hey, back this way. And then I started being a dork and was like, like just waving my arms like crazy, but still doing that motioning hand motion. And the cat was like, you want me to jump on your back. But I wasn't bending. And so then he launched himself up at my face and grabbed onto my shirt and then leaned up with his paw and clawed my face, like all 5 of his little claws stuck in my cheek, and I'm like spinning trying to get him off of me, and he's hanging on by my cheek and my shirt.
I'm like already cringing inside.
This
is too graphic. You should have put a warning.
And then he finally like flew off, and I was like, oh my word, like this is why I don't like animals. And then what happened is I went to this event that we were going to, and there were I don't know how old I was, but I had these 5 pock marks on my cheek, and little boys made fun of me. And so, yeah, there's my traumatic cat story. Thank you very much for joining us.
Way too graphic for me. I did cringe inside.
Oh, well, I thought it was funny. I hope that nobody is scarred by hearing that. Well, thank you, Joel, for joining us this week, and we will have another interview with you coming out soon.
Because seriously, this is not enough time to talk about 20,000 or what was it? Yeah, 120,000 is true to death.
Yeah.
All right, see you next week.